All right, guys, just a heads up. Tomorrow's Friday, and we got a 3-day weekend. The market's closed on Monday. So just a heads up. It could be a kind of a low volume day. Another nice grind higher in the SPY. Intraday, for those of you that weren't there today, I could only work like the first, I think, 30 minutes. Had a really nice morning. Thought I would be back to trade in the afternoon and got caught up. So never revisited the room after the first 30 minutes. I did do some chat room searches when I got home and saw some really, really nice calls. And also some of the stuff that I had posted, like SAEX. I posted a couple ideas in the room, and one of them was watch SAEX if it takes out this 410 sometime today, preferably in the afternoon, because then you have yesterday's high just above, and it's a recent high flyer. And it looks like it broke that 410 and went pretty quickly to 453. So hoping some of you caught that. Then it kind of held up. It kind of retested the breakout area and closed, had another nice push. So I did see some people celebrating. So it was kind of cool to see that that idea that I put out paid off. I didn't make a penny from it, but happy for anyone who did. So anyway, so what are we watching on Friday? BIOC, which by the way, BIOC called, that's another one I called right before I left. I said, I like this through the half. I couldn't trade it because I had to go. 250, I said, which is right there. I said, then 253, just 3 pennies above, breaks the high of day after a big rip yesterday. 20 to 25 minutes in the session, you take out a half number or a whole number, and there was a seller at the half. So one of our inflection point trades with the catalyst just above, because a high of day break was 3 pennies above that on a stock that had that huge move yesterday. It made sense on every level, right? So it takes out 250. Looks like it went pretty quickly to, I don't know, almost 3, pulled back and even finished stronger. So I do want to watch this again on Friday. Today's range was still inside of yesterday's range. So for me, what do I think? That means maybe potential catalyst tomorrow, right? So we're going to watch that one. NCTY, kind of an interesting little breakout of this tight, boring range. All of a sudden a volume spike. I would point out that this volume spike was still only 759,000 shares. So thin stock, but there you can see the midday kind of rip. So for me, when I see that, I put a little mental note, hey, let's watch that one tomorrow, all right? VHC, really extended from the moving averages, but after this big pop, looked like it was rolling over. Next thing you know, bulls are winning again. Now this just might keep tight, might keep tightening and coiling and might not be a great trader, but I do like the fact that bears are kind of getting probably a little bit frustrated. So this might have another rip in it tomorrow. But again, it's extended from the moving average, so not my favorite, but it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. Nice little breakout on CADC today. I would note that only on 185,000 shares. I just found this doing scans, and I noticed it's trading even at 475 and after hours. So this big pop back here, kind of a secondary one here, and starting to gain some momentum. I hate the fact that it's only traded 185,000 shares, but I'm going to watch it because maybe the China stocks will be in play tomorrow, and I'll show you another one in a little bit. But right now, MRIN had this big pop, kind of found support at the 20-day, and is starting to curl back up. I'm kind of breaking out of a, I don't know, maybe a 2-week, week and a half, 2-week range there. So maybe a follow-through day tomorrow. GoGo, remember I said in the video last night, I like this through 4. Unfortunately, when I look at intraday, and again, I wasn't there today in the afternoon, but to be honest, I wouldn't have taken this through 4 anyway. Most of you in our chat room, I know people that aren't members also watch my videos sometimes, but for those of you in chat, I know you need only glance at this and you'll know why I didn't take this through 4, even though on the daily I liked it. This thing came a long way from low of day to high of day. Anytime there's something that really looks like upside shape, just straight up for 2 or 3 hours in a row, 4 hours, whatever, I'm not taking that. If it breaks, that's totally different than an inflection point that makes sense. On an intraday basis, this is way overbought. Having said that, it did end up closing near its highs. Went down at 413, closing at 409. Back here, the high was 412, so it broke this 412 by a penny. It is kind of a handsome chart though, right? You had the gap up this day in the run, but it failed, and it's worked its way right back up to the highs from this big volume day. A lot of shorts in this name, so maybe it squeezes over this 6 or 7 day range, whatever it is. It's kind of nice to be able to look at it and say, well, even though it went up today pretty nicely, I'm just being honest with myself. I wouldn't have traded it. Just looking at what it did, it really, to me, never gave a great setup because, as you guys know, I like to find trades where I should be green right away, and that was just a slow grinder. There was nothing there for me. No edge, if you will. SAEX, talked about this one already. I'd mentioned this over 410 if it happened after I left, and it looks like it did, and closed pretty strong. It went up to 487 before closing at 463. So you had this huge run, right, for like 3.5 days, a pullback on lower volume, and it's curling back up. So this has a good chance for a follow-through day tomorrow, only with a proper intraday setup, as you guys know. This is a Squinky Trader, CCCL, but it's actually probably my favorite chart going into tomorrow. It ripped back here. Then you had this nice 2-day run here, came back, found support. Another attempt 3 days ago at testing or maybe breaking out over these highs. Then it looks like, oh, right back down into oblivion and then right back up again. So I view this red candle right here as shorts coming in saying, hey, CCCL is some crappy Chinese company and it doesn't deserve to be 50 cents, much less $2. And when people get that attitude and it doesn't go down, then you get something like this that happens. So I do like this setup a lot. If it can take out the high of this red candle, that's over 225. You could argue an inflection point because it's a quarter number. Quarter numbers, half numbers, and whole numbers. Over 225, I look to the left and say, hey, that 235 is just a dime above. And over that, big volume 2-day run that topped out at 235, you break that, anything can happen on a low float Chinese stock. So this one is a pretty good setup. Now tomorrow, we could wake up and it could open at 50 cents. So that's why I don't look at a chart like this and say, hey, I'm going to load up and hope it plays out tomorrow, right? I'm going to start with a list of charts that I love, and then I'm going to watch them trade tomorrow and see if they give me a setup. It's so much safer to be in cash every night. MBOT. Okay, this one, I don't love having this on a chart, but it had this, for lack of a better term, a stupid move from 406 to over 19 in 2 sessions. And then that nasty reversal on an offering or something. And the next day gapped up, but ended up breaking, to the downside on an intraday basis. Same thing again today. Let's look at it on 15-minute candles. So there's, after that nasty reversal, there's the next day. It put in its high, 15 minutes, in the opening 15 minutes. And then the same thing today, put in its high in the opening 15 minutes. But it seems to have found support between 9 and 10. So even though I still view this as way extended from the moving averages, and I view it as a goofy move, none of that matters if it gives me a low-risk setup tomorrow, right? So if this can trade in a narrow range, and I would love an afternoon breakout, just like I called for in SAEX today, I'll take a trade, right? So it should be on watch just because it's 100% a recent high flyer. It meets that parameter, and that's probably the most important parameter on any of my charts that I'm watching for the next day for a trade, right? And then lastly, I've got ADIL, which has just made a crazy move. But now you've got 2 days lower. It's really kind of riding the buy zone, right, between the blue and red line, between the 8 and the 20. Really, it's holding the 8 pretty well, which means it's even stronger than a stock that, visits the 20 routinely. And so it's bouncing up. And so now you've got 2 days lower right into the 8 again. We'll see. It's a thin stock. It only traded 263,000 all day today. I'd kind of like to see this come down, have another red day on low volume, and then on Tuesday, which would be the next trading day, I would love that. But you never know. Might give a nice trade tomorrow. I'm done babbling. That's all I've got. We'll add some gappers to this list tomorrow as well, and hoping to trade all day tomorrow. Teamwork's been fantastic. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in chat tomorrow.